touch a bit on conduction system before I explain the answer for my questions. Okay, so I believe everyone, just to refresh everyone on our conductions, we started with SA node. SA node is actually a pericardial structure located outside of the heart. It's located between the junction with the SVC and right atrial appendage. So it will come down with intranodal branch, anterior, medial, and posterior intranodal branch. And to go to the left atrium, you have to go to Beckman bundle. After that, you come up with the bundle of his, right bundle, and then left bundle. Left bundle divided into anterior fascicles and also posterior fascicles. So when we talk about bradyarrhythmia, there are two types actually. They have SA block or AB block. So I think everyone still remember about the AB block. But just to refresh on the SA block, SA block can be divided into three degrees, first degree, second degree, and third degree. So first degree, looking at the prolongation of interval for impulse from SA node to onset of P wave. So usually with this one, we cannot notice from the ECG unless we do EP study where we can notice there's prolongation between impulse to the activation of the P wave. So for, again, second degree, there are type 1 and type 2. So type 1 is when Kebab, gradual onset of impulse, delay, with loss of P wave. The difference between type second degree SA block and also AB block second degree Kebab is looking at the PR. For SA block, the PR will remain constant. However, in AB block, the PR will prolongation until it drops. But for SA block, the PP interval will gradually decrease. So it will become prolonged until it drops. So looking to the case number 4. So the answer is actually second degree morbid type 1 because it's obviously, as highlighted before, there's hallmark of group beating. And at the same time, we can see there's a PR remain constant. All the PR remain constant, but the PP interval become more prolonged until it drops. So this is suggestive of second degree morbid type 1 for SA block. So for second degree type 2 SA block, the SA impulse is blocked sporadically. It can be either 2-to-1 or 3-to-1. But if you look at the PP interval, it remains constant, just that the one bit missing. So for third degree, is either arrest or pause, which means that there's no impulse conducted by the SA node to the atrium. And usually we cannot see any atrial depolarization, there's no P wave, and at the same time there's no KRAS complex, which means ventricular standstill. Again, just to touch a bit on AV block, so the first degree, which means PR prolongations. Second degree, there will be prolongation of PR intervals. Okay, so going back to the case number 1. So the case number 1 is actually Wenckebach, second degree AV block, because you can see the PR prolongation as highlighted by the red dash. And if you look at the blue dash, is almost constant, the PP interval, which means suggestive that this is most likely AV block and Wenckebach. And the one that I highlighted in green actually is the group beating. The hallmark for any Wenckebach is group beating, and that is SA block or AV block. From this, suggestive that this is actually AV block Wenckebach. And again, for the case number 2, sometimes I think it can be deceiving whether you think it's 2-to-1 AV block, but look closely at the PR interval. The red dash actually is static, which means I just copy paste, and it's to show that it's prolonged, slightly prolonged, and then drop, and then when the return cycle again is shortened, slightly prolonged, and prolonging. So this actually is AV block, and again it's type 1, Wenckebach. So for second degree type 2 is drop ventricular beat. It can be either 2-to-1 or 3-to-1. And again, the complete heart block is hallmark is AV dissociations, as demonstrated in case number 3. So we can see the RR interval as is quite regular. So this is suggestive of junction rhythms. The one that I'm highlighted as the blue arrow is pointing towards the P wave that we can see a prominent is again it's regular. But the one that I highlighted in the red arrow is suggestive of hidden P wave. Look at the pumps at QRS and T wave. Sometimes it's suggestive like hidden P wave. So by looking at this, we can see the hallmark of AV dissociations. So case number 5 is AF with complete AV dissociation. The reason why I say it's AF because look, there's no discernible P wave. This actually is more to prevelating wave, which means that it's just a atrial fibrillations. However, there's not conducted. By we expect to have irregular AF. But this one, we can see prevelating wave suggestive of AF. But then again, there's not regular, it's irregular, it's very regular. And this is suggestive of a complete heart block because you can see there's AV dosage sessions.